I am a rewatcher of the MCU. I mean, the topic with the most posts on Sakar is the one in which I make comments about my rewatches of the MCU. Loki Season 2 is now a problem for me. When I rewatch again, do I continue with Loki Season 2 right after Season 1? Or do I watch it after Secret Invasion? Yeah, first world problems, I know, but this does keep me up at night. This is the review of Champions, and I'm your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions Sakar has to offer. And let me introduce them to you. Voice only, we have Loki's mom. Of course she's here. We're talking about her son. How are you?
I'm feeling wonderful. Can't wait to talk about Loki.
Yeah, I can imagine. And not Loki's dad, but he's still here. Mr. Taylor first, how are you?
Great.
That's also good to hear. Like I said, today we're going to talk about episode 1 called Ouroboros and episode 2 called Breaking Bread of season 2 of Loki. But before we do, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you really can't get enough of us, and I cannot imagine there's another way to live, you can join our ranks. Go to Sakar, sakar.freeforms.net, set up that account, get to know us, and yes, you can even join us in our reviews or podcasts. We would love to have you on the show. I now have to warn you, we are going to spoil the beans. So after this point, the spoilers are incoming, so go see the episode first and then check out our video, but do check out our video. So, Loki, season 2. Where did we leave Loki? Mobius didn't know him, and yeah, as it turns out, time does work a little bit differently in the TVA, and Sylvie is there, and some new characters are there, and we're gonna unpack it all right now by getting into our quick thoughts on episode 1 and episode 2 of Loki, season 2. Loki's mom, you get the honor to kick off this review series. Can I have your quick thoughts on both episodes?
Sure. Like you said, it left off right where the season 1, where we saw the statue had changed from the 3 timekeepers to the Kang, and then he's just running down. The episode started. It's like to say he hits the floor running, literally. He's running down the hallway, and I mean, it really starts out very with a lot of excitement. I mean, the action. I mean, I think that's sort of how sort of like the Marvel, kind of like what you almost expect is that you're going to start off with something really fast and really exciting, and then it goes into the story. So. Yeah, I think both episodes, after watching Secret Invasion, literally, I mean, almost any TV show would have been better than that. But this, I think, is real. They're really exceptional. I think both episodes, actually, even the second episode, I think that's maybe one of the best episodes that certainly for Loki, and maybe even for the whole Marvel Disney Plus series. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. It is a return to form for Marvel. Loki was one of those things that nobody really complained about in Phase 4. Now, of course, we're in Phase 5 with Season 2. And I wonder if Taylor agrees with us as well.
I do. I'm loving this show so far. You can tell the work that went into it, and the style that it has. It's back, like you said, it's back to that Marvel form of just having that little bit of unique effort put into things, into small things. You know, the aesthetics of the TVA. I love the sets. These are huge and real sets that they're using inside the TVA, and the design on them is all gorgeous. And again, I love the aesthetic, that kind of early 70s, late 60s technology that they're kind of stuck in there.
Mm-hmm.
The show is kind of expanding, you know, the universe of the MCU in its own in its own little corner of it. I think when we did our MCU update podcast recently, I mentioned that MCU needs to work on their marketing. But I think this show has actually been marketed pretty well. I think they've done a pretty good job of getting this message out there, and you can tell that they it's got a substantial budget. But don't worry about that, because this show is 100% paid for by McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's
which is great. It's great. You get the money where you can. If they're willing to pay for it, super. We get a show.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything so far has been really, really good. He was time slipping. Obi gave us a whole bunch of jargon about why that was happening. I have no idea what it meant, or why he was time slipping, or how that monstrosity thing he put together getting stuck into that other monstrosity fixed it. Whatever. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was just fun to watch.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned OB, and I want to hear from you and Loki's mom as well. We get a few new characters, like a judge, a hunter, a general, and of course OB himself. Did I leave one out? I don't know, but at least do those new characters add something to the show for you, Taylor? But let's start with Kei Wei Kwan's character OB. He's even had an episode named after the character.
Yeah, well, he's great. Playing that kind of quirky character that he's really good at playing, and he fits perfectly into the TVA, because everything, like you said, everything in the TVA is just a little bit off, a little bit surreal, and he fits right into that. And of course, he's playing a big role of being the technical whiz who knows how to fix this stuff and how this stuff works and why it's breaking. So he's the go-to guy in a lot of modern TV shows and stuff. There's usually some hacker guy that has answers to everything, or can hack anyone's computer and get whatever answer you need for whatever question. But he's filling that role, but he's doing it in a Marvel universe way, which makes it just more fun and just more quirky than what we're used to seeing in most modern shows. So I think his addition is great. Hopefully he'll play a major role in the Regus going forward. I liked the scene they did with the two women in uniform. I don't know, the judges or generals or whatever they are. That sort of hearing they had, because the TVA has kind of been turned upside down. They have those branches, and everyone was going crazy, and their leadership, their robot overlords had been uncovered and destroyed. And then the other woman, I can't remember her name, but the other woman that was in the first season, I believe, is coming back in the next season. They've mentioned her a couple of times, but she's not around. She's out somewhere.
Judge Renslayer.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one. Yeah, Renslayer. So they're looking for her, actually, but she's not around. So some people have stepped up, and because the world has kind of been turned upside down. The sacred timeline is now in question, especially with Agent 5 or whatever her name is, saying, no, we should not have been doing this. We're killing people in these other timelines. They're not aberrations or variants or whatever we're calling them. So there was kind of a split between the remaining leadership. And then, of course, in the second episode, we saw the result of that, where the one lady went into another area and set up a bunch of bombs and took out all of the branches and restored, I guess, more or less restored the sacred timeline. And that's kind of where it left off. So I think the addition of those sort of side characters, but my most surprising new character, and I can't remember his number, but that other hunter who X5, yes. Wow. I was expecting him just to be an extra, a glorified extra, a bit player, just to be the muscle for the other lady there for a while. But in episode 2, where he had decided to build his own life at another point in history, become a movie star, and then how they captured him, and then how really, really smart and tough he was in resisting the interrogation. I really thought he ended up being a really cool character.
Yeah. Brett. Breaking Bread. I actually smiled when I read the title of the episode. Loki's mom. What the most thing I enjoyed about the new characters was the discussion about the time slipping they had in different time frames with OB, Loki, and Mobius. I thought that was really well done. I absolutely love that sequence. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I mean because he's we're not sure what he's doing at first, but he's we know he's going somewhere and coming back, and then how they intercut it with going back to with Mobius and OB down in that basement wherever they. I think they get in one elevator and then get another elevator and go away. So God knows where they're at in the time authority. But anyway, how it was the editing was well done. By the time they got through with it, they had really explained a lot about the TVA. I think that's one of the things that the OB character has really been able, or with that character, to get us up to speed on a lot of stuff, so that we don't have to drag it out. I think one of the problems with the first season I had with it was that there was a lot of dragging out. I mean, there was like, hurry up and get on with the story, get on with the plot or whatever. It would be Loki and whatever. They'd be talking, having these long conversations, which are okay, but you can do other things while you're doing that too.
Yeah.
Standing there and looking at each other. But anyway, yeah, I think it was really well done. I think the characters, certainly I guess he's called Ouroboros, which was, of course, is the snake that eats its own tail in mythology. So that's interesting to find out why did they use that particular name. But he goes by OB. And I also like that they brought Casey. They've given Casey more of a role. I mean, he's sort of just kind of like this lump who's just a dumb guy who really didn't know what was going on. But then come to find out, yeah, he is more of a tech guy too. And I sort of like all of that. Ooh, they just kind of, oh my God, you're the Ouroboros or whatever, and get a singing and all that. I thought that was really it's in episode 2 how they did that. So yeah, so far it's like I say, everything has been really well edited. Taylor mentioned attention to detail, which is absolutely true. I mean, they've got that I don't know what you'd call it. It's sort of a, not really a diesel punk, but maybe an analog punk type vibe to it. It's sort of the 70s and all that clunky type of equipment that you associate more. But now that we have solid state, we don't have all that heavy, everything's like miniaturized. But back then it would be like rooms of stuff to do all the computing and whatnot. So yeah, and then of course the whole time loom. That one of the issues that's going to, I mean, right off the bat, we know that they got to get that time loom under control, or it's just going to just destroy everything. And so they've got that point across. So we know what the objective is to get Loki and Sylvie back together somehow. And that a great relationship, by the way. But they say Marvel has problems with their male and female or whatever relationships, but I think that one's really working real well so far. I mean, it's because it's so freaky to begin with.
Yeah, he has a relationship with himself, top-notch narcissism. Let's just say it that. And like Taylor mentioned, the TVA, there's something of. I mean, even writers of manuals can get world famous and sign stuff. Anyway, Taylor, I'm coming to you, but I want to start talking about any negatives, and I do have a negative because with the pruning of all those timelines by General Docs, isn't the problem with the time loom solved? Because that was there because there were too many timelines and it couldn't handle that. So, how's that? Did you think about that? Because the problem is solved. End of story. Taylor.
No, then a problem is solved. Apparently, like I said, it appears that the sacred timeline, as they call it, has been restored, which in a way I think is good because they can move on to other things. Because I think the main problem is, of course, Kang is coming back, or in some way, shape, or form, or a Kang, or many Kangs. And I think the purpose of this season is going to be building up to that. And again, we all know this is a continuing story. That I can already hear people online saying, they didn't accomplish anything at the end of this season. And I'm like, no, this is they're building up towards something else in the universe. Just like well, we're going to talk about Ahsoka at another at another time.
Yeah.
But again, I expect this season to end fairly open-ended, but I believe that it's going to do more of the expansion of Kang and hopefully the multiverse, because again, at this point, I'm just enjoying the heck out of what's going on here. But how do those timelines and those variants that the TVA deal with, how does that relate to the multiverse of madness that Doctor Strange was traveling through? Are they completely separate, different things that have nothing to do with each other, or are they the same? I have no idea. They're both part of the multiverse saga, but how do they interact with each other, or do they? I don't. At this point, we don't know. We'll find out.
Well, the way I sort of understand it is, and I might be wrong, but the sacred timeline isn't just one timeline; it's a bundle of timelines, but they can't cross each other, so they're all traveling forward in whatever, without interference or minimal interference. Only when they have the variants, and then as long as they cut them off in time, stop the branch in time, then everything will just go back to where it was. That's the understanding I get. So if Doctor Strange is traveling the multiverse, he's just jumping from timeline to timeline. What's going to happen with everything breaks apart? Then everything's just going to start coming together. It just randomly, it's just all going to start splitting apart and different timelines joining up, and you sort of see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but that raises the question why the TVA didn't intervene when Doctor Strange was traveling the multiverse with America Chavez. But anyway, Taylor, you had a point. A follow-up.
Yeah, it's just when you mentioned the manual, the book, I love the fact that the TVA is this massive organization that is literally controlling time and reality and the universe in one way. With thousands of people working there, and when you look out the windows, you see this massive city and complex and everything. And the book of rules that runs the whole thing is the size of a book you would read like in first grade or second grade. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Maybe it's easy, but maybe OB cracked the code on time. But Taylor, in both episodes so far, is there anything that you didn't like that much, or you have questions over, or you have doubts with, or whatever?
I mean, at this point, no. I've really liked everything so far. Hopefully, it's building up to something, and they'll keep a good pace. And even though I know it's going to be open ended to one degree or another, I hope there is some a satisfactory climax to the season at least. But as of now, really, I'm not having any issues. Like I said, I'm loving right now. I'm just loving the style and the artistry that's being put into this show. And again, I hate beating up on it, but compared to Secret Invasion, which just was so paint by numbers, in everything, that this show just looks so much better and feels so much better, and is just so much more interesting.
And
like even they go into the automat to get some pie, and there's this humongous wall of automats, but every single one of them is labeled pie. So there's nothing else in there except pies.
Yeah, and the color scheme was quite green, by the way. But
everything's green.
Yeah, everything's green, but that has, of course, something to do with Loki. But do you feel like this is the first time ever that Marvel has continued a TV show? I mean, they went from season 1 to season 2, but does it feel like a real continuation of season 1, or do you feel like there was a distinct difference between what you have seen so far between season 1 and season 2?
No, for me, I think so far it is a continuation from season 1. I mean, they really picked exactly where they left off.
Yeah, I agree, and it doesn't feel like sometimes you have that with shows where season 2 is not bad, but it feels totally different than season 1. But in this case, it's not the case, right?
No, I know exactly what you mean. How sometimes seasons feel very different or disconnected, or it's
Yeah,
like, you know, new
yeah,
story,
or it's just
restart, you know. But
yeah,
this
or the
feels like a
style is
continuation.
different,
Right.
the vibe it gives off is different. But in this case, it's if this came out 2 years ago as episodes 7 and 8, I wouldn't have questioned it.
Right.
Exactly. Okay. Well, Loki's mom, did you find anything that you did not like about the first 2 episodes, or have doubts over, or whatever?
No, no, I'm with Taylor on that. I can't really. It, it was well enough done that if there were little boogers or whatever, you don't really notice them or whatever, or you forgive
Hmm.
them easily. But yeah, talking about the seamlessness of the 2 seasons, and when you consider that there was quite a bit of time. I mean, this of course they've all had, but production problems and issues with shutdowns, and talked about they really couldn't promote the show as far as the actors. They couldn't come on any of the talk shows, just started back up, but the actors can't come on and promote anything, so it was pointless for Tom Hiddleston to do his press tour or whatever they normally would do for a series like that, which disappointed me to no end. But anyway, yeah, and speaking of Mr. Hiddleston, he's definitely, his thumb is on it. His handprints are all over this. He's really, if you want to beat back up on Secret Invasion again, Samuel L. Jackson, his name was executive producer on there, but he may as well just phoned it in. He just pulled 2 paychecks is basically what he did with that. I hate to say that because I love Sam Jackson, but with Tom Hiddleston, that was totally different. He's been hands
Hmm.
on. He cares about his character. He cares about Marvel. He wants it to be first rate, and so he's gonna see to it that it is, or he's not gonna put his name on it. I would not think, but yeah, and I do like how they have one thing I think they've sort of brought out, and it was in episode 2, because we're getting a little bit more into Mobius, into his, because he was really season 1, he was all for wanting to find out who he was and get back to it and everything, but now he's had second thoughts, and he's really getting nervous and scared about it. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, and hopefully we'll find out who he really is, and he may be somebody who's important to the Marvel universe in ways that we don't really know yet, because we don't know who Mobius really is. I think in the comics he was actually created in the TVA. He was born into that, but since they've changed that up a little bit and they're all real people from real timelines, it'll be fun to see who he is.
Yeah. Okay. Taylor, you had another follow-up.
Yeah, I agree. Mobius is actually a great character, and Owen Wilson, who has kind of been hit and miss with me, but that's based on the projects probably that he's done. He's been really good in this show all along, so yeah, it's a really cool character. I did want to say though, the one actor who has been able to promote this show is Miss Minutes. Marvel has released a whole bunch of little 30-second bits hosted by Miss Minutes, and they're framed like little um, uh, um, instructional videos for employees at the TVA. And of course, they all end with the McDonald's logo. So she's been carrying the weight of promoting this series.
Yeah, well, even in my country, the radio commercials for McDonald's at the moment are all Loki tied. So it's not something that's just for the US. It's worldwide, at least first worldwide. So yeah. Well, I have actually no complaints about the show so far at all. I absolutely love it. Besides that, yeah, some strange there with that time loop thing. If it's still time, is it temporal loom? Sorry, temporal loom thing. If it's fixed or not, but we'll see about that in the next episode, I guess. Um, So then we have nothing more to do than rate the episodes. Let's just rate episode 1 and then episode 2, starting with you, Taylor.
I'm giving them both 9 out of 10.
Okay, that's high numbers. Lokismom.
Episode 1, I'm giving 8, and episode 2 8.5.
Okay, I'm gonna go episode 1 an 8 out of 10, and episode 2 a 9 out of 10. I thought it was absolutely excellent, and I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait for episode 3. Actually, I'm really into it, and it's been a while since Marvel has caught me like this. However, I do have a question. This year so far, we got 2 movies, 1 on the way. We get now 1.5 show, and there's 1 that may be on the way, but it has been postponed until 2024, I believe, but I'm not too sure. Echo. So we have been complaining it was too much and that it diluted the quality of what we got. Do we see an improvement with Loki? Does it feel like Marvel has taken a little bit more care in this show, and they had a little bit more time and a little less on their plate at the same time? Does it show? How does it feel, Lokismom? What are your thoughts about that?
Yes, I think we've already brought out that they've gotten back, and this happened with Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3 also. I think they've gotten back to that Marvel vibe that makes it so successful, that people want to see that. I mean, that's why they care about it. I mean, there's a zillion movies all that have all the same scenes in it, virtually just changed up a little bit, but they don't have that personal touch. Like I say, with making the characters 3-dimensional and not these 1-dimensional flat, basically just lifted straight off the cartoon pages. You can't really do that with it's not going to work. I think that's sort of what happened with Secret Invasion. It just looked like come off like a bad comic book with moving pictures with it. That's all it was.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because they actually played with the 3-dimensional character of Loki a lot in episode 2, Breaking Bread, because that interrogation scene, I wouldn't call it a torture scene, but in a way it was. I thought it was excellent because it showed the complexity of Loki as a character very well. Do you agree?
Yes. Well, his acting, he's a superb actor to begin with, but all of them, I thought the gentleman, I don't know what the actor's name is, who played X5 Brad Wolf. He was really good. He held his own with Tom Hiddleston. Of course, he and Owen Wilson have a really good rapport going on and whatnot. So I think all that really just adds up. It just kind of builds up and makes it that much richer, in the end, and more of a pleasure for us as a viewer to see all that and the things that adds to it. We don't have to do so much work, trying to figure out what's going on. They're making it easier for us and making it more of a pleasure.
The actor's name for X5 is Rafael Casal. I think he's Mexican or at least Latin, but we'll see about that. Taylor, your thoughts on the quality of Loki, and does it show that they took more time and they had some less projects on their hands at the same time? Or is it too soon to say that?
Well, I mean, they're certainly so far doing Loki right. What's the reason for that? I'm not sure. When we say they, that we're talking about a lot of different people who may be different people focused on different projects. I don't know who's the showrunner. There's been some stuff in the internet recently about how Marvel doesn't have showrunners like most traditionally TV shows do. But someone's got to be, headlining or heading up for the most part this show, or the writers, or whoever it is. But whoever it is or who's directing, I don't know. I need to look at the credits maybe more closely. But
if I can jump in there for just a second, I would
sure.
say that it's actually Tom Hiddleston that's being the showrunner. He's taking that burden on himself.
It may be, since he does have a producer credit, he may have stepped up and taken charge of it. So again, is it because of more time? Well, I mean, it has been a long time since the first season, and hopefully they've been working on it before the strikes. They were working on it from the whole time to some degree or another. So it appears to have been well planned out, and at this point, well executed. As far as when you said there's been 3 movies, and now this is the second show this year.
Yeah, well, there has been 2 movies. The third is on the way, the Marvels, because we only got Quantumania and Guardians 3 this year, and Secret Invasion, and that's it. Yeah, technically we also got the I Am Groot cartoon, but I hope you forgive me that I don't count that.
I mean, that's like 20 minutes of watching.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect anything there.
That's a kid's show.
But it feels like I was actually kind of surprised when I heard that, because I thought it felt like we've been getting more than that. But I guess we haven't, and that's a good thing, because it feels fine for me. I'm not feeling like we're missing out on anything at this point. I don't feel like. Now again, there's a lot of people on the internet going like, we need information. Who's playing Reed Richards, for God's sakes? Why don't they tell us? They'll tell us when they tell us. Don't relax, okay? I'm enjoying what's going on.
I read online that they cast the Fantastic Four, but they will reveal it once the actor strike is over.
Right, which is probably true, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we're gonna find out. It doesn't matter, and they've got a date for when the movie's coming out, and we'll find out before then, obviously. So, and they did move Echo. I'm quite sure I read somewhere they moved Echo to March or something. So yeah, I think what we've gotten this year has been just fine. We're gonna have the Marvels. I think 3 movies and 2 shows is working well. Yeah,
and I guess you can see that Secret Invasion was produced in a time when they still had a lot on their plate before Bob Iger stepped in and stretched everything out, and that Loki is maybe the first project to benefit from it. And well, the Marvels, the movie itself has been moved around a lot actually, and they actually moved it from switched it around with, I think. It was supposed to come out before Guardians, actually, and they moved the Guardians movie to that spot. So I think that they also took their time with that movie. So, and well, the trailers look good for that, and I have high hopes that will be a great movie. Yeah. I hear it's short, and that's also a good thing. You don't need to stretch things out. I mean, I wouldn't say the shorter the better, but sometimes movies don't need to be more than 2 hours.
Right. I think the trailers look at me also, and like I said, I don't need a 2.5 hour. There are many great movies that were like 90, 100 minutes long. And whatever the story requires is what they need to do. They don't need to pad it with extra stuff. And at least as far as I'm concerned, since I follow this stuff, I've already been introduced to these 3 main characters. I don't need to be reintroduced to them. I can hit the ground running.
Yeah, it could be that they will spend a little bit of time explaining who Monica Rambeau is and who Kamala Khan is, because they were introduced in TV shows and not in movies. So people may not know, so you get a short introduction of who those characters are, and if they do it the way they did the exposition in Loki season 2 so far, I think we're good.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that will conclude this week's review of Champions for episode 1 called Ouroboros, and episode 2 called Breaking Bread of season 2 of Loki. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. If you did, you can help us out. Like and share this review and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really want more, you can join our forum at Socardo.freeforums.net, as said before. We would love it if you join us. For now, I want to thank you all, also on behalf of our champions. And wish you to be safe and be well. Bye.